All right, so I've been to a couple of tech talks, and I'm not gonna lie, they're very technical, and I kind of wish they were more general, and a lot of the people who don't do tech stuff can get into them more easily. So I tried to make mine super general, and it was gonna be on mobile development. I didn't know what exactly, but I realized what I would do is try to inspire you to get into mobile development. Try to make the descriptions of the apps and the code I'm showing super simple and general. I'm doing both Android and iOS, the two main platforms. So, you know, I'm trying to hit both sides. So bear with me, everybody. Sorry if this information isn't of use to you. I know a lot of people worry that they might be skipping important stuff for this. So if it isn't, at least you'll probably get some entertainment. But all right. So let's start. Like I said, you guys make me really nervous that you skipped important stuff to come to this, so I hope it goes well.
Yeah, hi, it's me, the conductor. Anyway, I couldn't help overhearing that someone here thinks I'm weird and creepy. I'm not weird and creepy. I'm cool and awesome.
It's awesome because he's on a skateboard.
Like I was going to say, I'm a conductor as well. I'm conducting this tech talk. But unlike that conductor, I am not weird and creepy. I am cool and awesome. At least I hope. Like I was saying before, this tech talk is going to be very different from the normal ones. It's going to be a little bit weirder. It was inspired by other people who are mobile developers. I'll explain why that's in quotes later on at the end. Just a disclaimer, my tech talk is going to be a little opinionated. So don't get rough with me about it. Like I said before, I'm going to show Android and iOS. And main goal, inspire all of you to get into mobile development. I don't mind if the marketplace is diluted with crazy, shitty apps and I'm competing with you guys to make a profit. I just want more apps to be out there. We need more good ideas, I think. So two reasons why I think you all should learn mobile development. One, I think that is a new form of communication and art. And two, secret reason, it's way too blunt for me to say because you all be like, oh, of course, but I want to build up to that point. So I'll get to that later. I'm going to use 3 apps today to try to prove my first and hopefully my second point. One is the 3Cs landscape and Foreman app. The second is a Hallmark card app. And the third is a game. And I want to let you know before I start that the first app was made in regular native Android SDK, no engines or wrappers. The Hallmark app was made with iOS's SpriteKit framework. Comes bundled with Xcode, I believe, and the game for Android was made with a custom open source engine called Engine. It's kind of like a framework, wrapper, etc., etc. Just on the Android side compared to the iOS side, SpriteKit framework. Something else I was going to say. Oh yeah, so like I was saying before with the whole communication and art thing, a lot of people will say, yeah, software of course is a form of communication. Have you ever played a video game? They tell stories, they like do stuff. We just saw last week at Test Track that the ISM games teach you the isms, and that's a great form of communication, but it always gets grouped into the game category, and I don't want to focus on games. Games are harder to program, they're more dynamic, there's more things flying around the screen, you gotta worry about more garbage collection, it's very difficult. So I wanted to add the apps as well to get more of a well-rounded conversation going. So here's the story for the first app. I used to work in a landscaping company, and I worked with a guy who was my supervisor, and his supervisor was a foreman. That was their label, kind of like managers or something. And it would always be me, my supervisor, and my foreman out on the job. I'd plant flowers or spread mulch or something, and if I was slow, and you know I was because I hated landscaping, he would say, I'm going to give you the boot. You know what? People slow like you get the boot. That's all I tell people like you all day. Boot, boot, boot. I'm giving you the boot. And sounded very threatening and scary, but the way that I dealt with it, I thought was actually rather funny, was because he was a foreman. I kept thinking of Red Foreman from that '70s show, and Red Foreman likes to say, I'm going to put a boot up your ass, so it sounded pretty relevant to me, and I thought, you know, maybe I could build an app that would essentially, you could run and then yell at all of the workers that are working so slowly. And he would have to actually yell at them. He could just press a button and have his phone do it. And I told him about it and how I wanted to work on it, and I never did because I was always focused on games and just other stuff. You know, landscaping's difficult. You get tired after all day. You don't want to work on programming. But I decided to make it for this demonstration.
You morons just hung vacancy, son. And my foot's looking for a room.
I keep forgetting the volume's different between the phone and the computer. Sorry, guys. It's okay, we like it.
You can either walk out of here on your own, or you can hop out of here with my boot in your ass.
That's him, for sure.
You know, I ought to vandalize your ass with my foot.
So, as you can see, I have developer mode on, so you can see the dots there, right? Every time I press the button,
How would you like your keen eye to watch my sure foot?
changes the picture, plays a new audio file, very basic. And when I told him about this idea, he loved it. Everyone else who works with him loved it. They thought it'd be great. I really wish I made it for him because that would have secured some type of remembrance with them and how good of a worker or how bad of a worker I was, but how cool I was for making this one or something. So I'm going to go into the code, demonstrate how this works. Switching back and forth. Don't mind me. Finally, the tech of the tech talk. You're all excited, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not. Code's gross. So, like I said, code's pretty gross. But you look, we got a button at the top. We got an image view that's going to hold our image. We got a media player that's going to play our sound. We got two arrays, one for bytes that I named that for sound bytes, and one for pics. And then we have an integer for the position in the array that we're at. And if you look on the right, we got folders. Essentially, I just went through and I downloaded a YouTube video of all the compilations of him talking about putting a foot in an ass. I cut them up in Audacity. I made the OGG files, put them here in the raw folder. I looked up different pictures online, just copied them and pasted them in this folder. Didn't do any modifications or anything, very simple stuff. If you look here, every time you add an item into the Android, it gets turned into an integer. It's for storage information. So the reason why our arrays are ints is because the int will be the resource that it actually is. So all you have to do is just name them like this. Res is R, raw is the name of the folder, 3 is the name of the OGG file. So it's pretty simple, very straightforward. I just make my array, put all these items inside of it, and then set my position on the bottom to -1. That way, when it starts, it goes to the first person, the first item in the list, 0, right? Okay, so in Android, we have items called XML files. They do our layouts. You set up the items however you want. You can see here, it's very simple stuff. You put an image view in, you say your height, your width, whatever, if it's in the center of the parent. Very simple stuff. If it's a text item, you can say text color, text size. You just label it however you want, you know. They line up, you know, I put one below the other so you know exactly where they're going to be. I set the content view to the layout file. This is just this XML file, res, folder, layout folder, activity main.xml. Same state, you know, as the images and the OGG files. So we identify our buttons in our picture view. We got the IDs right here. You can see them, so that's how you know you're going to get access to them. Every time you import this file, this is only where it's going to look. So if you're importing the wrong layout file, it's going to look for an ID, and if it's not in there, it'll crash. Very simple. Again, I hope it's all becoming straightforward. So all we got to do now is just put the button on screen and assign a click listener to it. So all we say is set on click listener, new click listener, right? You click, we're going to increase the position of the array. If the array position gets past the number that we have for that many images or pictures, we just reset it back to 0. Every time, if an audio file is already playing, we destroy the media player, make it null, and then we create a new one with the new audio file. So we're not making multiple audio players, we're just making one over and over and over again. And if something's already playing, we just release it and destroy it so it stops the music. It's not playing multiple items at the same time or something. And then we just set the image resource on the bottom. And literally it just says picture outside image resource. Picture is the image view we got reference to. We set it to the item in our array, right? So super simple. Everyone follow? Yeah. I hope? Okay, cool. That was the first step. All right. Let's do the second app. So it was May, about Mother's Day, and I didn't know what to give my mom. I never do. I always forget. I feel bad, and I'm probably the worst son in the world. So I was really thinking hard about it, and I saw, who's the guy who plays Ron Swanson? He was
Nick Offerman.
Yeah, Nick Offerman. He was on an interview, and he was telling the guy who was interviewing him, you know, girls love handmade stuff. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's handmade, they'll die for you. And it's like, okay, well, my sister makes, she's 22, she makes a construction paper card every year, and my mom loves it, and I just don't understand why it's so impressive, because, you know, anybody can do that. But what I found out is that I can't do that. I am not good at arts and crafts, and I'm really horrible at that, so even I can't do that. I thought, you know, I'd really like to make an app for my mom, because I make apps all day, that's what I do, and I think that'd just be easier, better, but I couldn't think of anything. And the worst part was that I'm an Android developer and she has an iPhone. So I was like, there's no freaking way I could do this, right? Wrong. In 5 days, I had this. If it ever runs. Here we go. Oh man, come on. So after all the text is done loading, it says you can tap the sky to see fireworks. You can only, I programmed it so you can only tap above the horizon of the water. That way when it's on the sky, it looks like there's a reflection on the water below. I programmed it so that after 5 clicks, it changes the image and the font color. So now you see the text still, different font color and a different image. Now you're in the sky, you can click anywhere for a firework now. Oh, whoops. Yeah, so now you can click anywhere, you can do it however often you want, right? That's it. In 5 days, I was able to make that.
Did she like it?
Yeah, she loved it. I think I won Mother's Day that year. Again, trying to be very general and basic. I'm an Android developer, but within 5 days, I was able to make an iOS app. The mobile development is obviously simple in some aspect if you're able to jump back and forth like that. I don't like iOS development. The syntax gives me a headache. It just scares the hell out of me. I don't want to deal with it. So, but I did because I love my mom. So, we're using SpriteKit from iOS for this app now, and essentially, you know, on the Android side, we had an XML file and you define the images and stuff. Everything's static in an app, right? And if you want something more dynamic, you're going to need to build animations and stuff. So it's easier just to use an engine that's pre-rendering everything. And because everything's dynamic, you're not going to use a layout file. You're just going to place them on the screen via the code. You're going to define your text objects via code. No XML or, you know, placement holders or anything like that where the information is always going to be the same. Things can be different. But again, this is a game engine, but we're not using it to make a game. We're making an app still. So, you know, so like in Android, we got text view that displays text. In SpriteKit, it's a SpriteKit label node. In other engines, it's just text object, string, you know, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's for SpriteKit, it was SpriteKit label node. If you want to make an item to put on the screen, you build a sprite. And if you want to move stuff around, you use a thing called a SpriteKit action. And other engines are called modifiers. I can't remember the other names, but just some differences. So I don't know if I'm going to show all the code, but I'm going to give you an idea of what's going on here. We make our sprite nodes at the top. Those are for the 2 backgrounds. We make our labels. That's for the 5 labels that are coming up from the bottom. We make our tap count to keep track of how many taps we're doing before we change the images. We got images or booleans stating whether all the text has been read. So that's after all the text has already been displayed. And then the last one shows so that you can hit off the fireworks. We don't want to go in too quickly, changing the image, and the font color hasn't changed or something. We want to keep everything in line, you know, regulate the user and how they're interacting with the app. So we got these booleans to keep track of that information. All of our labels are made the same way. and on Apple and on Mac, you got all your fonts in your Microsoft Word document window, whatever. Any font that's on the computer, it'll just grab it. So I found one called Zafino. It looked the nicest, I think. So that's the reference to it. You set the text. All you say is .text, you know, and then you put your string in. Font size 15. Position. The position's always going to be an X or Y coordinate, X and Y coordinate, unless you're setting only one. As you can see, in iOS, it's a CG point make. I get confused with all that stuff. I don't know. Here, this method's saying we're going to get the middle of the X, so the middle of the width of the screen, or the middle X of the screen. The screen is self.frame. I could put anything else in those parentheses and get the middle of that item. And then the position is going to be -100. That's going to be below the screen. So all these labels are defined below the screen. And then I'm setting the color here. All the colors are 0 to 1, 0 being 0, 1 being 255. If you've ever used Paint or anything else, you can see the RGB values of colors, right? You want to figure out a true color, just open up Photoshop, pick your color, take the 3 numbers it gives you, divide them by 255, and you got your value. Just put it in there, make sure it's a float, it won't crash, you'll be good. Alpha is just how opaque it is, or how transparent it is. 0 means you can't see it, 1 means you can. Just put it in, sometimes they require it, sometimes you don't. The action is to move to, so here we're using one called move to Y. Essentially we're moving an object on a Y axis. We could do one that says move to X, we could do one that's a path, we could do, we don't have to do moving, we can do fading, we can do scaling, we could rotate. This is where all the game ideas come in. What are we going to do with all this stuff, right? But you don't have to make a game, obviously, it doesn't have to be like that. And then you just say sometimes label, run action, the action we define, right? So all of my labels have these definitions already defined somewhere in the code. I'm not going to show you all the code and go through it all. This is how we define our sprites. Literally, these images, does this look familiar to the Android one? We got folders, and you just throw them in, and then you just grab them. Like, couldn't be simpler, right? So we just define, we got a sprite node, make it with the image name, background. Do the same thing for background 2. Set the size. I believe my engine can compile to an iPad, but I was making it for the phone, so that it didn't stretch out and get too big, I had to divide by 2. I believe that's why I'm doing it. I'm not sure. I put the comment in. I'm an Android dev, gosh, so you understand. I set the sprites in the middle of the screen. Again, same thing. Get mid X, get mid Y of self.frame. The frame is the screen of your device, right? The actions. So earlier I was saying we got modifiers to move Y, up the Y axis. You can say, when one's complete, set this, do this, So I could say, once one's done moving, I can start the next one. Once that one's done moving, I can start the next one. Essentially, I start all 4 at the bottom at once. They all move slowly at their own pace. When the last one is finally done and all the text has been seeded and we know the user has seen it all, that's when we send out the one from the top. That's what I said, text red equals true. So I know that when the engine's running and it sees that change has happened, it'll start that move action for the one coming down from the screen. After that one comes out from the screen, that one's done moving, then I set up another boolean saying, now you can touch, or actually it's set at the same time as it moves it, but it fades it so quickly you never notice the difference. So, and then if you want to put them on the screen, you just say self add child. Self is your screen again, the frame, add child, and then you just get the name for every object. As long as you set the positions correctly, that should just appear at those positions. If you don't see them, you probably set them incorrectly. I do that all the time. I don't like it. On iOS, you got a method called touchesBegan. You got touchesEnd. And Android is very similar. You got on-scene touch events, et cetera, et cetera. So essentially, you're just saying every time you touch, we're going to get the location of where you touched. And then if the location is above the Y, the middle, on the first image, and that's where the horizon is, and we haven't changed the second image yet, and all the text has been read, so we know that we can start showing fireworks, then add an explosion. Also, if the image has changed, add another explosion. Before it was check only for the Y value. You just got to be above the water, because you're not going to shoot fireworks into the water, right? But if the image has changed, it doesn't matter. You can do it anywhere. So that's what I'm saying is before the image changed, do it above. After, do wherever. It doesn't matter. So if image change is false, it's still on the first one. We're going to show a duplicate explosion. Same one. We just grab a path resource file. Here we got a Spark PNG. This is just a white image, very small. We got SKS files. These are predefined. All you do is make one, and you change the numbers on the side, and then you see how it reacts. And if it reacts the way you want, you keep it. And if it doesn't, you change the numbers. There's no programming. You just click, mess around with it, see how the colors look, see how it flies. Oh my God, it couldn't get easier, swear to God. So again, you just say, this is called firework reflection on SKS. This is firework.sks. So essentially I made one, and then I made another one. I duplicated all the information except the Y variable. I told it to go downward instead of upwards. It all shoots backwards. So it looks like an actual reflection, right? It says firework.sks up here. We're defining it. You just say the name of it and the type right afterwards. So firework reflection.sks. We assigned an emitter node. This is for emitting out particles, which is the image, the PNG that we have. We set the position of the explosion. It's going to be wherever you touch, essentially. Well, the first one is. The second one's just going to be a reflection, so we have to do some math to get where it was on the X and Y and then duplicate it. And then we just add it to the screen. Andrew, stop dropping your freaking phone, man. And then after it starts, you want to be able to remove from the screen. Having so many, a particle emitter, it sends out 5,000 different particles, right? And if you got 5 particle emitters, you're sending out so many objects, your app's just going to crash. So as soon as we add it to the screen, run something to get rid of it and remove it and clear up your garbage. That's just how it's done. That's the rules. Every time we tap, we just increase the tap count. Tap count's 5. 5 fireworks. I can change it to anything I want. I can change the image to true. I'm going to fade the background out. The backgrounds are just set on top of each other, so you see one, and then you fade that one, and then the other one's visible. I'm not detaching anything. I'm not doing all this extra late work. I'm just trying to get the very basics out to give it out and give it to work. Down here, you set the font color. Same thing as before. You got 0, 0, 0, and your alpha. Red, green, blue, alpha. Just 0 to 1. All right. I hope that was all understandable. So a while ago, I did a talk. It was for the Bring Your Kids to Work Day. If anyone remembers this game, yeah. So playing that game, that wasn't a good talk. Too many questions. Those kids, they really throw you for a loop. But afterwards, Uni and Lucy approached me and they said, hey, that's really cute, but I think it'd be cuter if you took the Beatles out and you made them SWATs, and then you called it the SWAT Busters game. And I was like, that sounds great, but I really don't want to, so I'm not gonna. All right. Then I came up with my tech topic, and I was like, well, I guess I could do that now, so maybe I should. So I figured, but if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna try to do it right. I'm not gonna just, half-ass it, just only change the images to SWATs and then still have a dog. That doesn't make any sense. What's a dog doing with SWATs, Like, it's got to be legit. So I took some time to work on this. I got some people to help out, and this is what it looks like. If I can ever get We got a player select screen. I got a second player here. It's just a demonstration. All right, so we got 3 tasks here. Yellow ones will attack normally. Red ones are bugs. Damn it. This game's really difficult.
I'm the best.
That was great. I hope you all enjoyed that. So I'm going to demonstrate a little bit of the code that goes into how this works. I'm not gonna show all the code. It's very there's a lot of classes. You know, if you're gonna do something right and make it really extensive, it's gonna be a lot of code. I don't want to go through all that. I'm still trying to keep it general. So we'll just compare some of the stuff we learned from the last app, the one with the Hallmark card stuff, to this one. You know, we'll just see how they're similar. In the first one, you saw that we make labels. We define the text, the font size, the position, the font color. Down here in the Android engine that I downloaded, there's multiple ones. You got libgdx, and engine. On iOS, you got Cocos 2D, SpriteKit. There's a billion. It doesn't matter. Just find one you like and start using it. Whatever is easy for you to understand. Down here on Android, you make a font. You define what it is. You can add your own font if you want to and determine it in the assets folder. I didn't. I didn't have time. You make your text object. Instead of an SK label node, it's a text object. You know, you define the font you're going to do. The string is going to say 00 is the position that it's currently at. You're going to add the value of the life, the player, you know, their life count, whatever it is. You know, we're going to set the position, set the color. It's all exactly the same. Attach child, self add child label, attach child life text. How different is that? I mean, this is why it was easy for me to go from Android to iOS probably for that 5 days, but again, I had to learn the whole syntax, so it wasn't super simple, but it's all relevant. You know, everything that happens has to be based off the native software development kit. So no matter how they change the syntax of their engine, it's all going to do the same thing essentially. But just find one with the syntax you like, and it's pretty simple. So down here we got move modifier, same thing. SK action move to Y. They're the same stuff. We got up here. We got our background. We made our sprite node. Set the size, the position. Down here in an engine, we make an atlas. We assign a texture to the atlas using an image from the asset folder. We load the atlas. We make a sprite, and we assign the texture region from the atlas onto the sprite, and then we set the position of the sprite. In the sprite definition here, I set the size to 353, 242. You don't have to do it that way. You could set it later if you want. Usually you want to define it right at the start of the bat, but you know, there's multiple ways you can go about defining your information and later changing your information. You don't have to do it all the same way. It's not super specific. You can change it, and that's something I like about programming. iOS, you got touches began. In Android, you got implements ion scene touch listener. And then you implement a method on scene touch event. You do what happens. In iOS, touches began is when you touch the screen. Touches end is when you lift your finger. In Android, in this example, I say if touch event is action down, that's the finger on the screen. If up, it's up. You know. So we're on the left. That's what happens when I'm touching. I make an so on the left, this is my particle emitter for the explosion. On the right, I'm doing the same thing for when you hit the swatch. You're making the JS's appear. It's just, I make a thing called a text factory. I'm making text objects. I'm randomly assigning a color to it. I just say, pick a number between 1 and 3. If it's 1, make it red. If it's 2, make it green. If it's 3, make it blue. And it sends out like 10 different JS texts at those different colors. And because all the colors are flying over each other, you see a multitude of colors. Very, very simple, not even mathematical really, but it's all the same stuff. You make an emitter, you make an initializer, you attach the explosion, you set up something to remove it later so it doesn't waste memory. All the same stuff. All right, so that's the last one. I just wanted to compare the code for the last two. I didn't want to go into full information overload there. Again, trying to keep it general. So to conclude, essentially, the reason I came up with this Tech Talk idea was because of other mobile developers, and these are people that I meet outside of work all the time who have no background in technology, have no background in development work or anything, and they hear that I'm a mobile developer, and they tell me that they have this amazing idea that I need to make for them because it's gonna make it big. Oh, the amount of stories I've heard. Amazing. I'm gonna rant real quick. I was at a party talking to a girl. She said, "What do you do?" "I'm a mobile developer." Guy across the room comes over, distracts me for 20 minutes to tell me about how I have to make this app for him for free because we're friends. He has this great idea. It's gonna make him tons of money, because I'm going to develop for him, say, what's your idea? I can't tell you, you're going to steal it. You just went on 20 minutes about how great it is. All he told me is the song he was singing in the shower when he came up with the idea, the day he came up with the idea, the friend he told the idea who agreed it's a great idea. He didn't tell me anything about the idea. I was so pissed. People do this to me all the time. Nobody here, thankfully. I've had people here approach me wanting to learn more about mobile development and get into stuff. We can get to questions in a minute. You know, like, I'm glad to help out at any time. And I have a lot of different ideas that I don't, I feel are great ideas. I don't think they're worth $1 million, but I feel like my ideas are also interesting. I'd rather work on those than your ideas, especially if you don't want to share your idea with me. But the one other reason, the one question mark reason that I think everyone should get into mobile development is because obviously I'm noticing a trend here. When I used to go out, if I ever said something like, I'm in computer software, I'm a developer, you never get people that say, oh, I got this great computer application idea for you to make. We're going to make it big. That never happens. Mobile is reaching a new type of market. It's expanding people who are interested in tech. And people are thinking there's a lot of get-rich-quick schemes or something associated with it. And they can jump on that bandwagon and roll. And it's obviously, it's bigger. It's bigger, you know? So that's why I think everyone should get into it, because if it's so big that people are coming up with their own $1 million ideas and they're afraid to tell me their $1 million idea out of fear that I'm going to steal it, well, you should have started learning already by yourself. If you're not going to tell anyone your idea, I'm not going to steal it, but the developer you hire and pay to do it, he could easily run off and steal it. He's probably more low-hearted than me, and I know a lot of them really overcharge on the development front. It's a ridiculous field. So, I mean, you should just learn it yourself. If you're afraid to share your idea that you think is so valuable. I'm not saying you guys here do, but that was my whole point, is that if you have an app idea, you've never done anything about it, I feel like you could have gained from this tech talk, because after showing for both Android and iOS, I hope you know that it seems kind of simple, you know? And I've experienced more success personally from making small apps that for 1 or 2 people, for a group of people, and then building it up from there. I could easily monetize the Red Foreman app. I can't sell it because it's not my property. I can put advertisements around it and make it a free object. People flock to that stuff. The Hallmark card app, I can't sell that. I'm not going to get an iOS developer thing, but I can easily make a website form where people send me in the message they want to put, and then I can just put it together and send it back to them with instructions on how to install it, and they can pay me for it. I can monetize that. That's an easy skill to monetize without actually putting anything on the App Store or trying to give a cut to Apple or Google or somebody.
I'll help you build a way to automate it and put in a randomized delay.
Thank you.
There we go. We'll say we did it manually.
Again, to follow up, and this is a great merger for my next point, is that you know, these people always say how great their idea is, and then I get mad. I'm like, please, yes, you know, I'm the kind of sending Wonka. But I got a lot of ideas. I want to share them with you. If you find any of them interesting, you want to get into mobile development, talk to me. We can start working on them. I'm so busy, I can't work on all my ideas all at the same times. But if any of you feel like learning and you think some of these ideas are interesting, come talk to me. I already got an idea of where to start it, and I will be happy to help you get your foot off the ground. The 3 apps I just showed, I'm putting all the source code at these links. If you want to download them, you want to download the Mother's Day app and give it to your mom and not change it at all, do it. I don't care. I didn't put my mom's name in it, so you don't have to change anything. You can just get her device and run it. I don't mind. Do it. Download them if you feel like it. You want to play them. I put the APKs for the Foreman app and the SWATbuster app there. So even if you just go download the source code, the APK should be in one of the folders, and you can just install it and start playing it for fun. If you'd like to, go ahead and fork it and you know, add your own ideas. For the Mother's Day app, I'm probably going to update it this year and add like a scroll picture of pictures of us together, and then like a comments page, stuff people have said about you, Mom, about how amazing you are, you know, all this stuff, you know. But the Foreman app could be updated too. We could put like links to the references of the episode that the quote is from or something, or the scene on YouTube of it actually happening. The SWATbuster one, you want to download it, make your own SWAT patterns, levels, boss levels, life, whatever, more difficult, easier, do it. I don't care. Download it. I like to see it. I like to play your stuff if you have ideas or want to add on to it. I commented most of the code in the Swamp Busters one. I commented all for the first two. The Swamp Busters I just finished last night, so I'm still commenting it. But I put the comments in there, so if anything seems confusing, read them. Try to get an idea of what's going on if you want to modify. Some ideas I have outside of this that I'm just trying to do personally. Some wallpapers I got. I want to make a wallpaper for my mom. I don't know if iOS has live wallpapers where it replicates whatever the screen was when it fell asleep. And then once in a while, a spider looks like it's crawling across the top of your icons or something. I just want to do that to freak her out. That's going to make me lose Mother's Day probably, but she especially hates spiders. But I think that's an idea I want to generate. I downloaded this album last year. I saw this album cover and I was like, damn, I love that album cover. I want to make this animated. I'm gonna make a screensaver for my Android device where all these images are there and the clouds are just rectangles moving and the water's going up and the swans just kind of float there. I think that's going to be really super cool, and I just want to make that as an artistic feel. Again, like I was saying before, games and apps can be artistic and communicatable. Trying to, some games I want to make. I saw this image on the left on Reddit, and I was like, damn. So I sent it to my friend. I'm like, hey, you ever played this game? He goes, no, but I wanna. And I'm like, well, I know how to make games. Let's make it. So now we have a Google Doc that's been in development for the last month, and I'm like, after my tech talk, I can devote my time to this, guys. And we got like, we're ripping sprites from the old Kirby game. We got Conker's Bad Fur Day context, and it's going to be a very adult-like game. Look forward to the next 2 years. We'll host a blog or something. I saw this on Cartoon Network. So I saw that, and I was like, oh, I don't know what the hell that is, but I want to make that game. Below here I said I have Rock World photo game. I was hoping maybe a game where we could actually take photos off of Rock World, and then it'd be like an arcade fighter, so like we could replicate the sumo wrestling from the one day, and you could pick anybody you want, and then just have a fighting game with Rock World photos on top of the heads or whatever. I think that'd be kind of cool. Justin told me his invested app the other day. I love it. I know I said I wouldn't steal app ideas, but if he doesn't want to work on that, I'm going to steal it and put my name all over it. Awesome. If you guys haven't heard of that app, go talk to him. It sounds hilarious.
Vested interest, it's called.
Invested interest?
Or vested interest.
Vested interest. All right. Yeah, we're gonna make that app. It's gonna be sweet. You can hear about it from him. I gotta finish this tech talk and answer questions. I have a lot of more ideas past these. These are just the more appropriate ones. So if any of you feel inspired, want to tackle these ideas, want to download the code I showed you, have your own ideas but need help starting them, I will definitely help you. I just want some people to learn and not expect me as the mobile developer to do things for free for them. I will do things for free. I've built prototypes for people over many months for free because they told me their idea and I agreed that idea is great, I would use it, I will build it for you because it's something I would use. If your idea is great in my eyes and I think I'd use it, I will help you make it because I want it to. I think there's a lot of good ideas out there that haven't been tackled yet, and people are probably afraid to try tackling themselves, and they definitely don't have the money to hire people like me who really, take you for your word. So, besides that, I want to thank Mike Yermian for coming over, recording his voice, and Chris Beard for making images, Andrew for programming help, Jenny with the Mother's Day app last May, Uni and Lucy for the Swap Busters idea, and all you guys for attending. I'm sorry I hyped it up if you guys wasted your time or anything, but I figured it'd be entertaining. If anyone has any questions? No? You had a question earlier? No? I answered?
Great job, Steve.
Thanks. Not what? Oh no, it'll take too long. So I just want to say, if other tech talks were more general, I'd definitely love to attend more. I have a personal problem where I go and I get kind of confused, and I start to pretend like I'm in class again, and I start to look at my phone, and I don't pay attention, and then I leave halfway through, and it's like, all right, what am I doing? I don't know what's going on here. I understand technical. Tech talks are supposed to be technical. That's the point. I just wanted something different, and if anyone found inspiration from this or wants me to do another one in the future, or change the topic, let me know. Thanks, everybody.